Softball is not in the Olympics regularly.
No.
Why?
I call myself the blank Scrabble piece on Team Canada, where I can kind of be used in a bunch of different positions. I don't like to be in just one spot. So in life, I'm the same. Like, I'm going to still coach. I'm going to speak. I'm going to see patients. I'm going to train. Like, there's so many things I want to dabble in.
What are some of the challenges you've experienced going from elite athlete to business owner to then student again?
You don't always have to feel like you want to do something to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
What advice do you have for athletes who will compete in softball and athletes in general?
I tell the athletes I work with the only difference between me and that athlete is I've failed thousands and thousands and thousands of more times than you.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of You Only Die Twice. I'm your host, Warren Ward, and today we are joined by Natalie Wideman. Competed in 6 World Championships, 3 bronze, 3 Pan Am Games, 3 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze, and a Tokyo Olympics bronze medal as well. I really enjoyed this episode because it's a fun one. Natalie really talks about how she's intertwined her career as an athlete and Olympian at that with her business and school. But before we get started, the best way to support this podcast is to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share with a friend. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, Miss Wideman, are you
Hey.
ready to die?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Tell me a bit about yourself.
So I'm a softballer, but I also own a business, and I'm finishing up my naturopathic medical degree, and I coach. I do a lot of things. I'm a dog mom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love that. What's your dog's name?
Luna.
Nice. Old dog, young dog?
She's 4. She's my COVID baby, so.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I heard a lot of people got the dogs during COVID.
Yeah, we kept her, which is good. We like her. We're
Right.
going to keep her. So
How'd you get introduced to your sport?
growing up, both my brothers played baseball. So I was naturally always at the field. We were kind of like the baseball family. So when people ask me, like, when did you start playing? It's like, it just has always been there. It was never a starting point. It was just, I was always at the field. Growing up, they were 2, 3, 4 years older than me. And my whole purpose was just to try to keep up with them.
Right.
And to be better than them
Did it
eventually.
work?
Yeah. They finally admitted it a couple years ago. So
No
I was
way.
like, wow, I've done everything in my athletic career if they've said that. So they were playing baseball, and I told my mom that I wanted to play softball, and then ever since.
Well, from what I read, you not only told your mom, but you said, if they can do it, I can do it as well.
Yeah.
So what did that mean exactly to you? Why was that such a prominent, distinction? Why did you want to prove that you could do it just as good as they could, if not better?
I think growing up, when you have 2 older brothers, they're always questioning, you're the little sister. Like,
Yeah, you're the
can't-
youngest.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't keep up. You're smaller. You're not as fast. And I said, yes, I can. Like, say no one more time. Like, let's see what I got in my tank, you know?
Right.
So it was important for me. I looked up to them a lot, and I wanted to get their approval, so to speak. So,
And that happened at a young age, I'm assuming.
yeah.
How
like,
old were you?
Probably like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say since the age of 5 or 6, softball has been intertwined with your identity growing up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even as a family, like, because we were the ball family,
Okay.
it's been not only me, it's been the whole crew.
And do you think softball has given you a sense of significance?
Absolutely. I think from a pretty young age, I got a lot of confidence from my sport. So I was fairly quiet in the classroom. I would put my hand up only if I knew for sure I knew the answer. But in the sport of softball, I kind of blossomed. I was becoming my authentic self.
Right.
I could laugh, I could make jokes, I could fail, I could do a lot of things, and that gave me a lot of confidence that then therefore transferred into the real world. So that was pretty helpful.
How do you think it's influenced who you are?
I don't want to say it's everything, but it's a lot in terms of how to deal with failure, how to build resilience, how to communicate with others in authority positions or teammates or handle pressure or adversity. It's been a building block in terms of my characteristics within my world.
Yeah. And I feel like, especially with the last thing you just said, like, there's so many things now I know I can just take on because of sport.
Yeah.
I feel like I can take on pretty much any shit, anything that gets thrown my way. Not anything, but so far,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty undefeated in that category. Like, I'll always get up and, continue to move forward.
Yeah, I think I've dealt with some of the hardest things in sport, and I never thought I could do it. But because I overcame that, I'm like, what else does this world have for me?
Right.
Business, hard. School, hard.
Yeah.
Internship, hard. Relationships, hard. Like, how can I work through that now?
I agree. Were you able, or would you agree, or is it fair to say that because you were playing a sport that you can't necessarily build an entire life around, that your transition would be then easier? Because we're talking about something that you're not going to do every day. You're probably not going to make millions of dollars. Maybe you are, maybe I'm wrong. But would you say that makes it easier when you're competing again? Well, when you're competing in a sport that doesn't require or won't give you a long-term life, maybe to sustain afterwards?
I think there are certain aspects that it's become easier because I've had to build my education and my career on the side. But in the same sentence, that becomes a difficulty because you have to balance both things.
Yeah.
You want to be 100% in everything you do, and you can't give 50% to the sport and 50% to your schooling. Both of them have to be 100%.
Yeah.
Because as athletes, like, that's what we do.
Exactly. But like basketball, soccer, football, hockey, those sports, they can mostly build a life. Like they can play and have a career and then be done. Where softball, javelin, shot put, all the sports in the Olympics, you can't really do that. No. So you're already preparing when you're starting, essentially.
Yeah, I think I went into it knowing that softball was my passion and softball was my love. I knew it could develop me as a human. I knew I could have the opportunity to travel the world. I also knew that I wasn't going to make money. So on the side, what can I do to make that, to survive? Do
you think a lot of Olympians have that mentality of they're like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dedicate 4 years of my life for 2 weeks. And then in the meantime, though, I'm going to try and sustain and build a life? Or do you think most athletes are just all into their sport and it's really hard to do both?
I think the majority of them are all into their sport, which I respect, but I've also...
You kind of have to, no?
Yeah, but I've been fortunate enough to be within a program with Softball Canada that they have seen the benefits of having a life outside of sport, and they have invested in that for us, and they have pushed us to become whole humans. So I feel very fortunate that our staff, our leadership, our support staff have seen that as a benefit.
Softball is not in the Olympics regularly.
No.
Why?
We're considered a temporary sport right now. So there's a permanent list and there's a temporary list. We are on the temporary list. Based on the host city, they choose who they want to be within that game. So does it work in terms of their fan base? Does it work in terms of will they potentially get a medal in that sport? Do they have the infrastructure? Unfortunately, Paris did not see the benefit of having softball in, so we were not there, which was devastating. But Tokyo, for instance, loves baseball and softball.
When was that?
2020.
So then that was the last time you competed for Canada?
Yes. Well, on the Olympic stage.
On the Olympic stage?
Yes.
Okay. So what can be done to change that? How does softball then become a sport that's in there regularly?
I think one of the things that they did was softball and baseball combined together to build the World Baseball Softball Confederation. Having both sports together does give us a little bit of legitimacy. Like baseball has the MLB. If we can get them involved, that does help our sport because of the platform they have. And then just like recognition and getting softball to the next level. Making people understand how cool it is, how fun it is, how exciting it is, and getting seen, hence me coming out here, talking to you, letting people know how cool my sport is.
If athletes are not knowing if they're going to compete, how are you expected to stay ready? Like, how do you stay ready for something you don't know if you're going to compete in?
I mean, we knew that we weren't going to be in 2024. Okay. We knew based on that, this is now the setup. We have Pan Ams, we have Pan Am qualifiers, we have World Championships. This is what is expected of you moving forward. Mm-hmm. We know now that we're in for LA 2028 and the expectations are going to flip. Like Olympics are next level. So I may have to take time away from my business and go live in another part of the world to train.
Have you done that before?
Yes.
How long?
We were gone for about 5 months leading up to Tokyo.
So you left your job, left your business, left everything you're doing to go train.
Yep.
And what's that like?
For me, unbelievable. I get to hang with my friends in Florida, train, and do the thing I absolutely love. For the people around me, it's really, really, really hard. Like,
give me an example.
My husband takes on more responsibility with the business. My career gets put on hold. So financially, that's going to be stunting where we go and our growth and our investments and our ability to buy our own home and potentially children. Like there are so many different areas that affects. Mm-hmm. my parents helping out with Luna, the dog, like just little things like that. Like it takes a village. So knowing that I'm pursuing my passion, knowing that these are really tough decisions. I don't want to say sacrifices because I ultimately want to do it.
Right.
But it is going to require a village.
Do you think other Olympians who don't have that type of village will have to make a choice and say, well, either I'm going to compete or maybe I'll miss out because it's too much of a burden now. It's like 4 years from now, a lot can change. Well, a lot will change in 4 years. Yep. So would you say that some of your teammates maybe have made other sacrifices as well who aren't in your position?
Absolutely. People have decided, you know what? I don't have the ability to make this decision. I don't have the line of credit that I can pull from or whatever that looks like in order to make it happen.
Yep.
I don't have the financial flexibility to leave my full-time job to go do this. We are fortunate with the different athletes on our team that they have had a lot of flexibility, whether it's I'm going to take a year off from NCAA coaching or I'm a nurse and my manager understands and is willing to give me this 6-month period to go do what I love.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are understanding. They know that we're doing this because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. We're representing our country. So we've been fortunate. Even my school, for instance, said, you know what, take the leave of absence. We're supposed to have a time cap on how long you finish your degree, but we get it. We want to support you. We know this is huge. Go when you're back, when you're ready, we'll be here.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. Thank you.
Throughout all of that, since you were 5 to now, how have you prepared yourself for the next phase of your life? Because you're going on to another challenging career, something, in medicine, which we're going to get to, which is amazing. So how has all of this prepared you for that?
I think ultimately throughout my athletic career, realizing that the things I'm learning within the sport, on the field, in the gym are going to translate, now using those and actively trying to translate them into my schooling, my business, whatever that looks like. So for instance, I have a big exam where I'm in front of a standardized patient and an examiner watching me. This is pressure. How do I handle pressure? I've dealt with this before when there's 2 outs and an 0-2 count and we're down by 3 and I'm up to bat. What do I do in that moment? Mm-hmm. How do I settle my heart rate? How do I focus on the task at hand? Like those are all huge skills that I can move forward in my career and in my business.
Tell them now, pressure.
Yeah.
Tell them.
I love it. It's a privilege. I love it. I'm so amped up right now. Get me on the field.
And that's something like I was just thinking in my head, like, okay, I've been to the free throw line, the game's on the line, I have to make 2, or I gotta finish a play, all really hard things to do. So pressure. Yeah. And you can deal with that. And I think what happens sometimes is we don't think about that and relay it and say we can transfer that to something else, another career, another form, because most people haven't dealt with that, being down 0-2 with a full crowd of people watching you. You have to focus on hitting that ball, and it's hard. What you're doing is hard. I can't say I've watched a lot of softball, but I am now.
We're going to change that.
We are going to change that. We are now. We're all going to watch, especially since you're playing.
Okay.
So I can't wait.
Fan favorite.
I'm so curious because I don't really know much about softball.
Okay.
Why is it called softball, not baseball?
Softball is a different game. We're on a much smaller dimensional field. Okay. So our base paths are smaller. Our fences are shorter distance. The ball is a different size than a baseball. It is not soft. I just want to clarify that. Right, everyone's like, oh, you play softball? Okay, how long do you have? Can we sit down for coffee? Like, I need to explain this to you.
All day.
So it's just bigger. It's the same consistency or feel as a baseball.
Okay.
And then our pitchers throw underhand. So it's not slow pitch.
Right.
I'm not throwing it in the air. Our pitchers go around just one time.
Oh, okay.
Just one time.
Just once.
Right. And then throw it underhand. And they have a bunch of different spins. And the movement of their spins is different than a baseball from the overhand.
The overhand. Right.
But I'm a catcher. I throw overhand. I do not throw underhand.
How are your knees?
We're feeling pretty good. I have a gym. So I'm feel like I preventatively take care of what needs to be taken care of. So
what's your training schedule like?
That depends. For instance, right now is off season, so I'm pretty lax. By lax, I still work out, I still do cardio. But when full-time season, I would say we lift 3 times a week that are probably 2-hour lifts, condition 3 to 4 times, speed work 3 to 4 times throughout the week, and practice for me at my healthy age is probably 3 times a week, maybe 4 leading into closer to season.
And that's team or individual?
Depends. So right now there's like 4 or 5 of us that are in this area that train together. Sometimes it's like 2 times a week we're all together hitting, throwing, whatever. Sometimes it's me going to the facility and my husband's feeding the machine because that's what works with my schedule because I have to go to class.
Right.
And I have to do the newsletter for my gym and there's so many things, right? So you make it work.
What do you think you're going to do with the time when you're all done? Because like just thinking about what you just said, how many hours a week do you think you're putting in?
A lot.
Yeah. So what do you think you're going to do with all that time when you're no longer an athlete?
Part of me thinks I'm still going to train.
You're still going to be an athlete. You just mean like when you're not committed to softball.
Yeah. I mean, the goal would be to be seeing patients as a naturopathic doctor. So I'll be still working. And I'm sure based on how I am and who I am, I will still be as busy, if not busier.
Yeah.
And doing a lot of different things. I call myself the blank Scrabble piece on Team Canada, where I can kind of be used in a bunch of different positions. I don't like to be in just one spot. I kind of get bored almost. So in life, I'm the same. Like, I'm going to still coach. I'm going to speak. I'm going to see patients. I'm going to train. Like, there's so many things I want to dabble in, so to speak.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And speaking of your blank canvas piece, what'd you say?
Blank Scrabble piece.
Blank Scrabble piece. You're very outspoken on any sort of social media platform. So especially Instagram. I follow you on Instagram.
Thanks.
That's when I first got introduced to you. And I was like, I saw one of your IG posts. You said you're passionate about high performance, business. Well, these 3 buckets of high performance: business, sport, life. What does that look like for you?
I just think that optimizing your performance, it doesn't matter what area you're trying to excel at. There's a lot of components that go into it. So whether you're an athlete in sport or an athlete in life or in business, you need to make sure like you're eating well, you're sleeping well, your mind is healthy, you're moving, like all these different components. If you want to be the best at something, you need to take care of the foundationals, and then you need to be really disciplined and dedicated at your craft. You need to look at people that are greats. How did they do it? What can I learn from them? What do I need to change to get a little bit closer to that? How am I different from them? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do I utilize these in pressure situations? So just owning the fact that sport, and if you're a CEO, like you're still trying to be a high performer. You're trying to be great at what you do.
And you take that and try and do that in your day-to-day life and what you're doing.
Absolutely. I make my bed in the morning. I start my day off right. Like I'm trying to be a high performer in every aspect.
Okay. Do you have a routine that you follow, or are
just don't ask my husband because I'm not perfect, and like things. Sometimes the bed is not perfect, but I'm trying. Okay? I'm trying to be the high performer and everything.
I won't ask him. Don't worry. On Instagram, you put a lot of the way you feel, and you not only coach, but you talk about things that you're actually going through and experiencing. Why is that important for you to do, especially in a day like today, where social media can be so conflicting? People can make judgments about you, and you know I say that you are truthfully putting yourself out there, and I love it. I respect it. Why is that important for you to do?
During COVID specifically, I have a lot of young athletes follow me on Instagram, and I started to realize what they're exposed to on a day-to-day basis is filtered all the time. It's edited, it's next level, it's these individuals saying and posting and thinking that their lives are perfect. And I wanted them to know that that's not the case. They look up to me, and I wanted to be as unedited as possible. Say, listen, I'm struggling too. I just had a horrible practice. It does not feel good. I'm going to sit with it for a little bit, and then I'm going to work through it moving forward. Not every single day is fine and dandy, and that's okay. That's part of life, and that's part of building mental toughness and mental health, is accepting that and moving through it. And I just found that so many of these young athletes and humans in general, not just these young athletes, were thinking that because I'm an elite athlete or because I'm an Olympian that I'm always confident, always happy, always thriving. And that is like far from the truth. I am constantly going up and down. I have flaws like everyone else. I have struggles. I have triumphs. I have everything in between. And I want to be as authentic as possible and show that regardless of the judgments. I'm sure there are people that are like, oh, she's just asking for attention. So it's like, so what? I'm also letting others know that it's okay to not always be feeling yourself at all moments.
Yeah. And you're showing the other side. You're showing the stuff that people don't show, because we just show, well, it's not everybody, but most people show the, the glamorous side of their life, the, the vacations and the, all the nice things, the cars and the money and blah, blah, blah. But you're showing the things that actually matter and that resonate with people, but you're not going to get all the credit all the time. It's like, it's delayed gratification. That's what I call it. People feel it. They just may not say anything.
I respect that. That's nice. I like that perspective on it.
I try my best.
A gem.
You said something interesting about people looking up to you. So who do you look up to?
Good question. How long do you have? There's a lot of people.
I got, according to my watch, all day.
Okay. Oh, okay. First and foremost, my brothers. They were tough on me growing up, but they were the hardest working athletes and humans that I've ever met. And they were tough on me, and I hated it in the moment, but I know that they've helped create this athlete that I am. They've been a big part of that.
This person that you are.
Yes, this human, not just athlete, both.
There you go.
So they're massive for me. One of my teammates turned head coach,
Nice.
Kaylee Rafter, is a big role model for me. And she is so level-headed, so logical and rational about her decisions, so wise, so willing to help and put herself out there and be that resource for people. She's done massive things and been probably afraid, even though she wouldn't admit it, but has just like kept stepping forward and taking on bigger and bigger roles. I think that's massive. And honestly, I would be dumb to say not my parents. They did so much to put me in sport. There was 3 of us in high level athletics, and one person was 20 minutes this way, another person was 3 hours this way. And I don't know how they did it. So I couldn't be where I am without them.
Speaking of your brothers, they both played professional baseball.
They did. So they both got drafted.
Okay.
And played in the minor leagues, and they also both represented Canada for Team Canada baseball.
And what do they do now?
One brother has his own business. He's very much like driven, wants to do his own thing. Respect. He's always been that.
What's the business?
He does lawn care and snow removal. So
Nice.
He's like always on the job. And then my other brother works for Pepsi and manages different locations. And they both still coach and have time for that. And they've kind of created a very good balance in their life with their family. So it's awesome.
Last question about them. Do you think their transition was easy? Did you watch them go through it? Was it difficult?
Absolutely not easy.
Okay.
I know that it was a struggle for them. They stepped away from baseball and their heart hurt. Mm-hmm. Their heart hurt a lot. They had not done post-grad education. They had went straight into their minor league professional career. And they knew that it was time to step back and start their family life and move forward with that. And for a while, they didn't think baseball, watch baseball, talk baseball, coach baseball. It was like cold turkey.
Yeah.
Like, I know it. Neither of them talk about it a lot.
Exactly.
But I could feel it for them.
Do you think something like this would have helped them through their transition?
Absolutely.
Is that why you're here?
Yeah, I just think not enough people talk about it. Mm-hmm. Lately with Team Canada, within all the sports, they've developed a program to help that transition period.
Yep.
And they've put money into that because they know it's such a big aspect of their mental health. Like athletes are sitting there performing and they're like, what am I doing with my life after? Like, I'm done in like 1 year.
Yep.
Then what? So they have done a really good job developing that and marketing it for the athletes and saying, listen, like, get involved now. Start thinking about your resume. Start thinking about courses you can take. And they've even encouraged us, like, these courses are available for you. Dive into them. Mm-hmm. It's not a financial burden at this point. So, like, let's take advantage of them. So I've been very fortunate comparatively to their exposure or their route.
Mm-hmm. Mm. What are some of the things that nobody would know about women's softball?
Oh, we really like braiding each other's hair. Hair's got to look good for the game, okay?
I feel you.
There's always like a couple girls on the team that are like the team braiders.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like number one, very like low key.
Is that a requirement? You have to braid your hair to play?
No, it's just like you want to look good.
Okay.
It sucks because I'm a catcher, so I'm always wearing a mask or a helmet. But like when I have to take off the helmet, I'm like,
Yeah. Okay.
So shout out to the team braiders.
Okay.
Softball is, because of the dimensions and how much smaller it is than baseball, it's much faster paced. So I'm biased, but I think it's way more exciting than baseball.
Okay. Like innings go by faster, or just the game speed is faster?
I would say both. Like off the bat, the reaction time is so quick that like just things are happening faster. It's exciting. You have no time to like chill. Like, you got to get the ball, get rid of it. Like, let's go.
Okay.
So it's exciting.
Okay.
I think so. What else? I think those are like the two standouts.
Okay. Fair. If you think of anything else, just go ahead and
Drop it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
What would you say your proudest moment is thus far?
Okay, so in 2015, we're throwing it way back, guys.
Here we go.
Woo!
Yeah.
Everyone always thinks like, oh, the Olympics, it has to be the Olympics. And like, yes, I loved my Olympic experience. I am very proud of it. But in 2015, we had the Pan American Games on home soil. This was the first time that my brothers had come see me play since I was probably like 12. It was like a big deal.
Okay.
AK the most pressure in my home.
Yeah.
And the night before the playoff round, my coaches had a meeting and called me in, and it was just me and these like 4 coaches. I'm like, am I being sent home right now? Like, what's happening? Like, I was really nervous. I had been playing a little bit behind the plate, catching, but I was the second catcher at that point because we had someone that had Olympic experience and was older and better in that position. And they called me in and they said, Nat, you're going to play first base tomorrow. I'm like, hello? I've never played first base in my life. So, we know, but we need you there. We are very confident that you'll get the job done. There's no expectations. Fortunately, I had 4 other Olympians on the infield with me at that point. So I'm like, okay, they can make a good throw to me. Like, I can trust them a little bit. They said, just do what you do, be loud, be in charge, and take care of business. I'm like, okay. I stepped out onto the field. I'm like, this is literally the biggest tournament in my life at this point because the Olympics had not come about. I'm playing a position I've never played, and my team expects me to step up in this moment, and my brothers are watching.
Mm-hmm.
And
Talk about pressure.
yeah, I held it down. I did
Okay.
it. I played with so much freedom and so much excitement because there were no expectations. And it was a really, really big learning moment for me to take that expectation off myself and just play the game that I've always played. Catch the ball, hit the ball, throw the ball, whatever that looks like, one moment at a time. So that was a really big moment. And to top it off, we won gold. So like, it was like a big deal. It was the first time our team had won Pan American gold and beat the U.S. in like 30 some years. So we were like, no big deal.
Right.
Like,
What was the score of the game?
oh, geez. This is a lot of years ago.
Hey,
I think
man.
it was 4-2.
Okay. I knew you'd remember
Yeah.
it. Don't act like
We
you
were
don't
in
know.
we were in extra innings. So
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
it
there's
was
real pressure.
Yeah. It was a big deal.
One of the things you've done, which I think is really cool, you've got a gym. You got your own gym. You have your own business.
I do.
When did you start that?
So in January 2022, it officially became my husband's and mine.
So it was so you got a COVID dog and a COVID gym.
Yes.
Right.
Woo! We're just taking it all on.
Yeah.
We're just like, why not just
Right.
go head first for
Right.
it, you know? And we've been slowly growing that community and building our little team there. So that's really, really cool. I would say it's more of his baby and I'm just supporting him through it.
'Kay.
I work out obviously there. But he supported me through my Olympic dreams and I knew that was going to require a lot of tough things on his end. And now it's my turn to kind of,
Support him.
yeah.
How has being an athlete impacted your relationship?
I'm very fortunate that he was an athlete as well.
Okay.
He would still say that he is, but he was an athlete. Okay, let's clarify. that.
You are throwing shots. I hope when he watches this, I have nothing to do with this, by the way.
Yeah, I love you, Ro. He has been an athlete. He understands my love, my passion. Some would say my obsession with it. It has been challenging, but it has also allowed us to grow in a lot of ways, to learn how to navigate things with one another from
Of course.
1,000 miles away plus, to handle things with a little bit of grace when we both know that both our schedules are really, really busy. But it's also brought us really close because now he knows how to front toss. So he comes to practice and helps me out. And he's like one of my favorite front tossers right now. So he's like getting pretty good with it.
And that's something that most people who don't play sports wouldn't know, right? And wouldn't experience. And I think that enhances the relationship, or it can tear it apart, which is why I asked the question. I know
Yeah.
it's a personal one, but I do thank you for answering that. I think even myself, I will take that into consideration when I'm moving forward in my own life. You know? And I think that's something that is missed with some of the spouses and things that they have to do to make sure that you can do what you do.
Yep.
You know, they're just supporting. But back to the gym. Let's keep the focal point on that.
chosen Mrs.
There you go.
Let's go.
Why did you Why did you choose to invest in that? It seems like you're keeping it close to sport. You're doing things that you're very passionate about. What do you think softball has taught you to now translate into being a part of a gym and owning one and doing the, like you said, the blog and the business and all that stuff? Like, how does that keep you going?
It's a very loaded question, Warren.
That's the point, Natalie.
I know. I think there's a lot of aspects. So we manage a team.
Yep.
We have to have really difficult conversations with one another, but with the people we employ.
Where else have you done that?
Every single day at the softball field. Every single day at the softball field.
Right.
I think also just having individuals that come to our gym. I love empowering people. I love being world's #1 hype woman. That's kind of my thing on Team Canada. So to have all these individuals in my gym, I'm like, let's go pick up the weight.
Yeah.
They don't think they can do it. And I'm like, you can. Like, your mind is limiting you. So just like, go all in. You're scared. I get it. Like, we can do scary things. Move on. Let's do it. So like having that environment and almost building a culture that I've learned how to build within a team sport, I'm now bringing into the gym. So now people are like amped to get there and like, yeah, squad, let's go, class time. Like, we're all in, we're all pushing each other. Let's move forward. Like, push that sled, get it down here quicker so I can move on. Like, it's just a really cool flow.
Yeah.
And I knew my husband is absolutely incredible at what he does as a trainer, and he's learning really quickly on how to be a business owner as well. But I knew moving forward when I'm practicing naturopathic medicine, like, it's the perfect combo of everything. I can help people optimize their life in terms of their movement. I can help them optimize their life in terms of their food, their mind, their digestion, like all these different things work together. And I've experienced that within sport. I know that if my stomach hurts, it could be my mind. Like, there's different like combinations of things. So how can I help others based on what I've learned in my life?
Wow, profound. You're hilarious. What are some of the challenges you've experienced going from elite athlete to business owner to then student again?
When I'm on the road, it's so hard. This year specifically, I was so amped up. Like, yeah, I have practice from like 10 to 3, and then I'm going to shower. I'm going to get myself situated. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to call some people. I'm going to study and do my discussion post. And it never works out like that when you're on the road. You're physically exhausted. You're mentally exhausted. By the end of the day, you're like, I just want to like eat like 2 dinners and watch some friends. Yeah. So like, how do I manage this? So it was a really big learning curve to get things done when I didn't necessarily want to. And I think that's like kind of what I'm learning about adulting. You don't always have to feel like you want to do something to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So just getting your mind right, and like, it's not always going to be fun, but this needs to get done.
Yeah.
Period.
Most of the time it's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it fun.
I know.
So,
you
like,
find ways, but
yeah.
it's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you're student and you're going into naturopathic medicine, I'm going to have to call you Dr. Wideman soon. How do you think your athletic background has changed your approach or influenced your approach to medicine?
I think being an elite athlete, you're very limited to what things you can take in terms of supplements and medication, because there's so many like doping regulations. So it's opened my eyes to look at my life. Like, how can I preventatively keep my body in a good position so I don't need to rely on those things? So that's translated a lot into my medical school. Like, as an athlete in life that comes to see me, or an athlete in sport that comes to see me when I'm in my internship, how can we set you up that you don't need me? That you don't need the medical doctor that you have, or the family physician you have. Let's set you up so well with your foundations. Let's make sure that you're doing everything you can to be in a good position, that we don't have to then scramble at the end when you're sick or when you're hurt. Let's like work from the beginning and prevent that.
Exactly. Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah. And like, we talk about that with sport all the time. Our team does more prehab than it does rehab.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you after the fact. I just don't want the fact to happen.
Yeah. Right. And your approach with what you're going to be doing with your athletes is more holistic. So I guess you should say, like, why naturopathic medicine and not traditional?
I did have a really, really good experience with a naturopathic doctor growing up.
Okay.
I struggled with a lot of skin issues, and it was based on what I was eating. And before that, I had never really been exposed to that kind of influencing different areas of my body. So I just relied on the corticosteroids or whatever the option was my physician had given to me, just to kind of like suppress those symptoms. And then I started realizing that there is a way to look at a human holistically and see that different things intertwine. Like, it's not just me looking at your skin, it's me looking at your stress levels, it's me looking at your digestion, it's me looking at your movement patterns. Like, there are so many things that create you as a human. Why are we just focusing on one and thinking that's going to give us the answer?
Why do we do that?
I still don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to figure that out. I'm just going to keep working in terms of what I can do. And I think in sport, there's such a wave right now in terms of you're more than an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you're more than your sore ankle. Like that, there's so much of you that can influence that. So like, why don't we look at it and paint this full picture? And
instead of just looking right at the ankle.
Yeah. So just being a problem solver and knowing that individuals have different aspects of themselves that I want to explore that could be affecting that one particular spot.
So, what advice do you have for athletes who will compete in softball and athletes in general?
So softball is what I consider, like, I am really good at failing. Like, I'm a professional failer.
What does that mean?
Okay, so if you go up to bat, if you get a hit 3 times out of 10, you're considered unbelievable at what you do. Like a great. If you get a 3 out of 10 on a math test, like, you're laughing.
Yeah.
You're like, this is not good. Like,
I understand.
I'm failing this class. Like, what's happening?
That's like basketball, 50, 40, 90.
Yes.
You shoot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% for 3-throw line. When is 50 and 40 ever good in life?
Yes.
If I make 1 out of 2 baskets, I could be a Hall of Famer in my career.
So I guess my advice for athletes based on that, or softball one specifically, is how do I get really good at failing? How do I fail fast? How do I fail in the right direction? How do I look at the failure without getting my emotions attached to it?
Right.
How do I...
And saying that I failed.
Yeah. Okay, how do I get a little bit better from that? Okay, well, I was up to bat and I like rolled over a little bit. So like working through it. Okay, next time I'm going to stay through it. Hand on the palm under the ball. Like just like thinking through it instead of being like, crap, I'm the worst. So just embracing the failure and doing it more often. I tell the athletes I work with, the only difference between me and you, or like me and that athlete, is I've failed thousands and thousands and thousands of more times than you. So how can you catch up?
Well said. We're going to play a little game. We know you like games.
Okay.
I'm going to call this one for 3.
Okay.
Play at the end of every episode.
Okay.
You got to answer in 1 word or 1 sentence. Okay.
Is this timed?
There's 3 statements.
That's a no. Okay. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Number 1, you ready to go?
Okay.
Okay. Being an Olympian is?
Humbling.
2. When people hear the name Natalie Wideman, what do you want them to think?
Unedited and empowering.
Number 3, describe your journey thus far in 1 word.
1 word? You said I could do word or...
This question's 1 word. 1 word.
Complex.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being here, number 1. Thank you for being open and honest. I love your social media because I may not even comment on it, even though I know you. I can just text you and be like, oh, this was dope. But I watch your stuff, and I think about some of the things that I endure in my own life. And I'm telling you as someone who believes that what we're doing is impactful, regardless of the likes, the comments. And trust me, we get comments on the nasty stuff, on the stuff that people have a real big opinion on. But the stuff that is actually meaningful and what this podcast is about, that may not go as viral. That may not be as impactful socially to everyone else around the world, maybe, who watches. But what you're doing, what you're saying, it resonates with people regardless of whether they show you that or not. And I'm just telling you that I don't know you all that well yet. But from the time we have spent together and spoken and texted and talked on the phone, even our initial message, I was like, what's your athlete transition like? And you sent me a whole blurb, a paragraph.
Here I am.
I was like, I like this girl right away. So I knew that I was going to get the real you, and I don't have to prompt this conversation or try and get anything out of it. I know you're going to come here, you're going to show up, and you're going to give your best. You're always on time. 8 o'clock this morning. Hey, what can I wear on the show?
Why do you got to call me out like that?
Which is hilarious because I love you. And that's what I love about you.
Bro,
That's
it's
what I
okay,
love.
babe.
Yeah.
We're still good. Don't worry.
Stop. I didn't mean it like that. I just bet I love who you are and what you bring to the table. And this episode in particular is more about, not so much about going from athlete to after that. It's about doing both. And you've done both. You've intertwined both of those things. And this is the person you are. And I just want to let you know that I love that about you. And I'm glad you took the time to come here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm
No
excited.
problem. Perfect.
Go softball.
If you like this episode, I'm sure you'll like the other ones. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you stream, You Only Die Twice is available. Check us out.